And it's dragging, and we are live on the backup laptop. Hello, everybody. Glad to be here on the Mr. C Dives In. I see we've got some comments in the comments already, but first let me introduce the guest of honor this evening. We have, right there as it says, of the Silver Screen Reflections Sven blog, Chris Hamby. Chris, welcome to Mr. C Dives In.
Thank you, Chris. It is a wonderful and fantastic honor being here on your Svenology show tonight.
It is a mutual honor, let me tell you that. Let's jump into comments, and then we'll jump into some questions. Cool. So first up in the comment section tonight, again, on the backup laptop, they're coming a little slow on the click, but Michaela is saying, there it comes. Good evening from Svengoolie.
Good evening, Michaela.
Good to have Michaela along. And I'm seeing our next comment. They're a little slower to load off of the backup laptop here. But our next comment is from Junkyard, dropping in the let's go. Says, beat you, Chai Star. You can't catch me. He's not the gingerbread man, but he's the Junkyard man. All right, coming up.
Hey, Junkyard. Hi, Svengoolie.
Svengoolie in the house. This is the all right. We're still got Junkyard's comment on the screen, man. The backup laptop is doing what it can. But let me see. Okay, so Sarah's ready to watch from the depths of the Chicago River, right between State and Airport.
Wonderful, Sarah.
That's a beautiful place to be. Then we got Drew is saying, hey Drew. Chris and Chris. So Drew, glad to have you along. Sarah's got another comment of a yay. Nanette's got a woohoo. Drew's got to bring me Hamby. Well, Drew, we'll bring you Hamby.
Hi, Drew. I'm here.
Okay, there it is. We'll be I'll be patient. I hope the other viewers will be patient. The backup laptop is doing what it can at its own pace.
Yay, Sarah!
What a festive atmosphere we have going already. I don't have Warner doing a fake out, throwing a rubber chicken at me, but now,
hi, Warner.
Let's begin. Marina City tastes just like corn, says Sarah. I'm happy for all the liveliness. All right, Chris. Question to you, sir. How did you first learn of Svengoolie or Son of Svengoolie? And tell us what were your first connections to the character of Svengoolie?
Well, Chris, I will start off way back during my junior year in high school. I was at the Career and Tech Center portion of it was a county-wide school part of my home school, and we had a television production class. And this was in the real early days of YouTube. And while everyone was looking at Cocomentos videos, of course, I do remember the old Cocomentos videos. I was just looking for, see if anybody uploaded old local television programs or snippets from old local television programs. And one of them was the son of Svengoolie himself, Rich Coase. And I learned years ago that this was a forerunner channel that Rick Klein of FuzzyMemories.tv ran under another name before he regenerated his channel into the present Fuzzy Memories that we all know and love today. And that's how I got to learn about Rich Coase and the son of Svengoolie. And then after I researched Rich Coase and son of Svengoolie and Svengoolie since 1995 off of WCIU out of Chicago, I learned then that this man had a regular in Chicago before MeTV became national, that he had a weekly Saturday night classic horror monster sci-fi movie showcase show that showed most of the classic Universal monsters and sci-fi films. And and when I learned about that during my final year of high school, I learned that many stations didn't carry the classic Universal monster and sci-fi and horror films anymore like they once did back in the day. And even growing up, I really didn't have a horror host. The horror host that was in my area before I was born was named Count Gore Duvall, who was off of Channel 20 out of Washington, D.C., Dick Dizell. And of course, shortly before I was born, the station was sold. And that's how Count Gore's run ended in D.C. Of course, he did bounce back to life. I heard off of some public access channel, I think out of Fairfax, Virginia. I think that's what I heard the whereabouts. And then jumped to around 2011 when Weichel Broadcasting announced in the broadcast trade publications, and this was after I graduated out of community college right here in Frederick, Maryland, that MeTV was expanding from coast to coast. Well, it would take until 2013 for MeTV and Svengoolie to reach the Washington, D.C. / Frederick, Maryland area in early 2013. And since then, and that is if I can get good cable carriage of it, I have watched Svengoolie's wonderful big broadcasts of classic mammoth horror, sci-fi, monster masterpieces, not only from Universal, but from Warner Brothers, Columbia, and many other studios, too.
Man, and you're bringing a real positive energy to your storytelling, Chris, and host to guest. I super do appreciate that. So, and let me take note of the interesting, as again, some of the other guests have been closer to my own age in their age. So now we're clearly jumping across a generation here, but not only as we have said here, but has been said in many corners of the Sven verse, it's definitely a multi-generational thing. You can have grandparents and grandkids and parents in between being on board with Sven. Drew's dropping in a comment here, loving the fish puppet. So fish puppets. The comments are a little slow to load.
And Sarah said earlier, Svengoonie's life.
And as a river dweller, Svengoolie would be well versed in knowing what comes and goes in the waters. It's a beautiful thing. All right, so probably probably without question, you're the first of the guests over here that learned of Sven through social media compared to those of us who are older in age than you, who found him back in the local Chicago TV. And then, of course, other people will find him through social media and other people through the nationwide broadcasting of MeTV. Okay, so from your earliest impressions of Sven, either the classic ones that you were watching or when you started to catch up with the more contemporary shows, did you have a comedy bit or a routine that they did that caught your attention?
My first impression back during my junior high school year days, but as a junior in high school, when I first discovered the early the old Son of Sven clips through one of the early Rick Klein YouTube channels, was a parody because Chicago's Empire Carpets had reached from coast to coast at that point, because those ads started airing on local Washington, D.C. area stations. So I think that was one of the earliest classic Son of Sven bits that I remember, was Rich Cose's parody of the Empire Carpet spokesperson as Vampire Carpets and the famous 588-2300 Empire song. I was quite thrilled by that.
That warms my heart a little bit, because that's often been a thread of discussion here. Would the local bits have been understood outside the Chicago area? So excellent that Empire made itself an empire and extended beyond the Chicagoland area. So that is super cool that you were able to, I don't know how super cool it was. I don't know how much at that age, if you were a carpeting connoisseur or carpeting at that time, but pretty cool that the joke carried through. And again, yeah. So Michaela's saying right now, she loves the mentions of her on the blog, and she's looking forward to more mentions in the future.
Thank you, Chris was bookworm through the socials. I love that, Svengoolie. I love.
Right. And then Nanette had said earlier that her nephew is a Sven fan, and again, I wish the comments would load as I clicked them, but whatever, the backup laptop is what it is.
That's wonderful, Nanette.
So that's awesome. And then Nanette is also saying 588, use your phone book. Yeah. See that when you know
it grows on you.
when they're committed to memory or you learn them by heart, it's a beautiful thing. Okay, so I'm glad you picked one of the classic and best known bits there. As far as the supporting cast, did you have a favorite sidekick, or was there a specific bit that featured a sidekick that caught your attention?
Are you talking about classic Son of Sven or Sven since 1995, Chris?
Let's start classic first and then go to 95 next.
Okay, I have to say Sven's Zalman T. Tombstone character would have to say, the talking skull with the mustache, and in the early Son of Sven days in Chicago, that cigar because he had a cigar. The early Zalman Tombstone bits he had a cigar, reminded me very much of the legendary Groucho Marx.
Absolutely, and it's something Junkyard has commented on this very channel before. Is there's definitely a Groucho Marx influence, as well as Billy Saluga is the main connection there. But the same thing that Kerwin. So we'll jump ahead a bit.
Right,
Kerwin definitely has some Jerry Lewis reference, but not
amen.
purely Jerry Lewis.
Tombstone, says Sarah.
Sarah's doing a big cheer for Tombstone, and that's more than welcome right here on these airwaves for this medium-sized broadcast, micro-sized broadcast of Tombstones in good standing. Okay, so then let's go to the more current era from 95 and beyond. I guess, was there anything that Kerwin did that really stood out for you, or were there other come-and-go characters that caught your attention?
I would have to say Kerwin, because Rich Cose's current run of Svengoolie off of MeTV since 2013. That's my most memorable part since watching him, especially the mail call segments that he does with Sven. And talking about old and new, I have to say his band leader, Doug Graves, aka Doug Scharf. And something interesting I heard about Doug Scharf off a while back. Sometime. There's like a late night jazz show that's run on public radio called Jazz After Hours, and whoever is the disc jockey on there mentioned Doug Scharf's name as one of the arrangers of a song that they played on there. So.
Well, see, now you're bringing knowledge that I don't have, which is what it's all about, is exchanging of interests and information. So that's great that you would drop that knowledge for us as an audience, as a collective, as a group here. So as long as I'm on this theme, let's take note of your T-shirt, because we haven't given Svengoolie a lot of screen time as yet on this channel.
Legendary Svengoolie.
So Svengoolie is the most recent of them all.
Amen.
Go ahead. What about Svengoolie led to you to get his T-shirt to represent your appreciation of Svengoolie?
Well, actually, because of my my fellow Super Sven pals and Super Tuners, we also watch the show Tuning with Me each weekday morning on the MeTV airlines, and that led off, and one episode of Tuning with Me led to a kind of a crossover character that Toonie displayed named Svengoolie, which was about maybe a year before the Svengoolie series started on MeTV, and that's what and I enjoy Svengoolie's appearances and Svengoolie's shows on the MeTV airlines. So.
Excellent. That's most excellent. And we can see Drew is giving us another piece there. Be careful talking about that punk chicken tuna puppet shirt.
I'm glad you noticed that too, Drew, because let me double check right here. Here's I'm wearing a Kerwin button as well right here.
Oh, see, there you go, splitting the bill. There you go. I've never asked this question on this channel before. It could be you're for one or for the other, or you're neutral. In the rivalry between Svengoolie and Kerwin, do you favor one or the other, or you just like to sit back and watch them go at each other?
I just like to watch back and watch both Toonie/Svengoolie and Kerwin duke it out.
Excellent. Sarah's saying
Rich Cose in a string band. Wonderful, sir.
And then Han Shot First, who comes around every now and again, is pro Kerwin here. So hey, we're going to allow for all for all viewpoints within the community. Man, all right. So, Chris, now I kind of already know the answer to this, but just as again to have some fun with this, over my shoulder right here, we can see the Creature of the Black Lagoon beach.
Neat.
And there was a time before your time in 1982 where the 3D movie was set up, and then the 3D movie wasn't really in 3D. So clearly you didn't experience that firsthand.
Right.
What legends have you heard of it, or what do you know, or what do you not know about the summer of 82 and the 3D business with the Creature?
Well, Chris, from what I've read or what I've watched little snippets on YouTube was that local viewers in the Chicago area could get after they purchased like a Slurpee at 7-Eleven or a hot dog at 7-Eleven, they got like a pair of 3D glasses with it because they were the sponsor of the Son of Svengoolie 3D big broadcast of Revenge of the Creature, the sequel to Universal's Creature from the Black Lagoon. And as I was doing one of my research for one of the Silver Screen Reflections articles for Revenge of the Creature, MCA/Universal teamed up with not only 7-Eleven, but various, besides WFLD in Chicago, many TV stations and even some supermarkets from coast to coast, and I think even some Burger King franchisees even participated, because they were syndicating it in the anaglyph 3D format, the red and blue 3D format. And speaking of Creature from the Black Lagoon, I have
here comes surprises.
It's not it's a surprise, but from the Hamby Film Vault, the Universal Essential Monsters Blu-ray set that I got as a holiday present a while back. And it has, even though I don't have a 3D Blu-ray player to watch to restore the polarized 3D version, the 1954, the 3D restoration of the 1954 Creature from the Black Lagoon, but it looks wonderful in high definition. I'm glad Universal has, because since their centennial in 2012, they've had a studio-wide restoration plan not only of their own feature films and TV shows, but the pre-48 Paramounts that they own as well, like the early Marx Brothers films too. So
again, a well-cultivated knowledge base. The hours you've spent are quite evident in the way you speak on things.
Watching this with the 7-Eleven 3D glasses. Cool, Sarah. What do you say again, Chris? I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. It's important to see what Sarah's got going on too. I was just complimenting that the fact that the way you're speaking on the history of the DVDs and the other motion pictures outside of the Universal wheelhouse. It's clear that you spent time and energy building up your knowledge base of all this.
Right.
So I just wanted. Oh, go ahead, Chris.
And film preservation, whether it be the biggest budgeted film or even a film that had no budget, like the very early Samuel Z. Arkoff and American Internet. I mean, their key was the teenage drive-in market. That's how they were successful in the mid 50s. Samuel Z. Arkoff and James H. Nicholson's American International. And that's why film preservation is absolutely important, regardless of what studio, what major studio here made it. So.
Now, I would be taking notes if I wasn't working the keys here. On the replay, I should be taking notes. But Han and Annette and Sarah and Drew and Michaela, I hope everybody's taking good notes out there, because we've been in this Svenology. We've been taking all kinds of classes, and definitely school is in session for all of us right here. I do want to recap the comments, and again, on the backup laptop here, we're not as fluid to put up and take down for the next comment. But Annette had said that, Chris, you have the wonderful blog and your support of Svengoolie and Tune In With Me shows, and it's amazing. And we're in agreement. And clearly we had Sarah comment on the 3D, and now Junkyard's coming in. Let me see how easily the Junkyard's comment might come up to the screen here. Here it comes, fading in nice and slow. Now if I had rigged somewhere where the creature could jump out at me, Sarah says it's an open book test, and Professor
Professor Chris. Woo! I highly appreciate that, Professor Svengoolie.
Oh, now we're
Professor Chris, Professor
from Svenology to Sven,
Professor
University here.
Professor Wunger.
This is some good
and
stuff.
Professor Fanboy too.
Absolutely. All right. So I will skip over the next one, because as we know, it's similar to that. When it was Rich Coe's in his non-Svengoolie years, in his non-son of Svengoolie years in 1987 in Chicago, he had hosted the Ball Drop. And I should still find out who his co-host was. Sarah may or Nanette may or may not recall who was his co-host at that time. So we'll skip. That's 1987 precedes you, sir. So I will not trouble you, Professor Hamby. 1987 question. But so let's say events. So you're definitely not in the central time zone. You're elsewhere. So have there been? Sven only makes it out sometimes to the New York Comic-Con. Was that something you were able to meet up at, or not?
Unfortunately, I wasn't at the time, but I hope one of these days, either in Chicago or New York, I hope to meet my fellow Super Sven pals, Super Tuners out in person, and meet Sven/Rich Coe's himself in person one of these days.
Well,
Dr. Svengoolie.
Dr. Gooley,
Dr. Gooley.
Sarah Gooley, paging, paging Dr. Gooley, paging Dr. Gooley. So I'm going to suppose it's unlikely that you'll be around Elgin on October 21 for the Nightmare on Chicago Street. I'll also imagine it's unlikely you'll be around these parts for the Volo Museum Sven appearance on October 28th.
I wish I could be there, but to
let's
those
say
who are going to Volo or Nightmare on Elgin Street, have fun. Enjoy Sven's festivities there and all the festivities at the world famous Volo Lago Museum and or Nightmare on Chicago Street in Elgin.
let's say someday, some way. Let's hope we can make it happen.
Fingers crossed, Chris.
Yes, both fingers. Right. And you're saying 3 cheers, 2 thumbs up, and 4 fingers crossed, and we're good. Sarah's commenting that Central Time Zone is the only time zone. All the other time zones are fake. If it's on the internet, it must be true. And now Dr. Sarah Gooley has just put it on the net, so hence it is true.
Yep.
Now we have a Dr. Sarah comment coming in. Svenology, an educational program for all the Sven pals to enjoy and learn from fellow Sven. Be on the lookout. Yes. So, Michaela, let me speak on that for a minute. Chris, pardon me for a second. Michaela, since I'm on the backup laptop and I can do certain things, so let me tie these things together. Absolutely soon, Michaela will be our guest of honor. And kind of, I guess I'm saying, I need to see when I can get a new laptop. So, for example, this backup laptop is not allowing me to navigate as I normally would, and it would be so fitting and so deserving for me to do the screen share to put up the actual Chris Hamby blog so we can look at Chris's handiwork. So I will owe that to all of us for a future time, and I do look forward to that, and I look very much forward to having Michaela on as a guest. I don't see Warner in the comments section right now, but I definitely want to have Warner come back around as he wanted to show some more of his collection. And Nanette's most recent comment is make the trip out to Berwyn, Svengoolie land, the right time and the right place.
Right. Fingers crossed, Dr. Nanette and Dr. Sarah Gooley and Dr. Drew and Drew Love and Dr. Warner and Dr. Michaela. Dr. Fine, Dr. Howard.
Dr. Howard, Dr. Fine. I'm pulling the Three Stooges bit in there. Okay, let's see. Sarah's got another comment coming in. All right.
Being a legendary Chris Hamby is a bucket list item, says Dr. Sarah Gooley. Free cheers for Hamby. I love that, Dr. Sarah Gooley. And that's my bucket list item, to meet you and Dr. Nanette and Dr. Drew Love and Dr. Warner and Dr. Chris and Dr. Fanboy Cantina and Dr. David Fuentes too.
Oh, let's not leave.
From Beyond the Dave. He commented that he's looking forward to seeing. He might be watching this right now. It's
possible. It's possible Dave's watching us while he's on the run. My chat with Dave earlier today was saying he definitely had some errands and things, but I would speculate if he's not with us live, he'll come back around. But Dave and I were commenting on your positive energy and your investment in Sven. So it's great to all participate in community. So then, Chris, again, some Chris Hamby specific questions here. And since I was on the convention bit, so let's first do convention questions and then let's get into speaking on your blog. Are there any local conventions then where Rich Coase was not present that you were able to go to and enjoy and appreciate?
Unfortunately, I haven't been to any like regional or local conventions. But speaking of celebrities, actually, celebrities, but dignitaries, I did meet a couple years ago before the pandemic, Trace Beaulieu and Frank Conniff of the Mags from Mystery Science Theater 3000 for one of their Mags movie riffing shows a while back. So
excellent. So that was again, it's as we had just said a couple weeks ago here. It was great to be part of the Flashback horror convention in company of Dave and Warner and Annette and Drew and Sarah, and we've got Dave live. Hey, knock.
Dave.
Dave's not here, but Dave is here, so that's a beautiful thing. Glad that Dave was able to navigate his schedule and spend some time and hang out. Dave, let me tell you, Chris is bringing all the good energy, and and this is so far so good. This is a real good thing. So, all right, Chris, now let's again. I want to kind of go through my standard things of how did somebody come to know of Sven, and what are there specific things, be it the mascot in the movie and the comedy songs and all that. But we've done a bit of that now, so let's come to you. We spoke about this before we went live for just a touch. You somehow made a decision to start a blog that was horror related and Sven related. Tell us about that. How did you get your blog started?
Well, I started Silver Screen Reflections as part of a online journalism class that I took back at Hood College in Frederick, Maryland in the fall of 2015. And by late September, Silver Screen Reflections was up and running. And I treated it as sort of a weekly, as mostly a weekly blog dedicated to Svengoolie's weekly classic mammoth horror, sci-fi, and monster feature film masterpieces.
Excellent. And do you have a system for how frequently you post, or is it tell us about that? What's your concept or your strategy for when do you post?
I decided to do it as a weekly blog, so at each film that Sven shows that week, I usually post it on late Wednesday or early Thursday around that time frame, and that's how fellow Super Sven pals and Super Tuners know about Silver Screen Reflections, by publishing it on the social media airlings, the live tweeting airlings, and off a WordPress platform.
Okay. What is the most easy or the most fun part of maintaining your blog or setting up your blog?
The most interesting and fun and easy part is actually trying to get most of the research in, along with graphics corresponding, as if any graphics are available, or photos or old press releases. That's the magnificent. And shout outs to the fellow Super Sven pals and Super Tuners on there as well. So that's the most easy and fun part of doing my blog. Sharing good content with classic Sven and classic film content with my fellow Super Sven pals and Super Tuners and aficionados of classic mammoth horror, sci-fi, and feature film masterpieces. And shout outs to fellow Super Sven pals and Super Tuners.
Excellent with the shout outs. And then I guess the other side of the coin is, what's the most laborious or challenging issue in keeping your blog at the level of quality that you prefer to keep it?
Interesting. Well, Chris, the most not the most tedious, but say if there's a film, like one of the films that Sven shows, say there's, like, for example, if he shows it like a year later, depending on the film contract with whatever major studio or syndicator that is, say there's not a lot of information out there. Well, I try my darndest to actually find the most frequent information by looking through old press releases that are available online. Lantern Media History Archive is a excellent resource for classic film and unusual tidbits, or what happened to the studio. And in case for tonight's movie, hold on, let me just dig through my tonight's movie, as part of the Sven double feature, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. This is the MGM Blu-ray that I found in a clearance bin a while back. And even though there's not a lot of information out there on the film, except for digging through the bonus features right for the Blu-ray and researching thing, I learned that the company that made the film, called Transworld Entertainment, actually had an over-reliance of financing from some French banking firm, and because of their over-reliance, that's how the company went kaput, and then it became under the hands of the French government even, and that's when they sold it to Philips Electronics / Polygram in the mid-90s. And then before Universal bought the remnants of Polygram after Philips exited the entertainment industry, that's how Killer Clowns wound up in MGM's hands, the current incarnation of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer. So if I find something like some odd studio tidbits or producers tidbits or anything, I try to enhance my blog for that week's blog, if that is in case if there's not a lot out there for a certain film that Sven has scheduled for that week.
I could put the exploding head emoji here for your depth of knowledge. And again, under normal circumstances, I would isolate you in the one shot, but since I'm on the backup equipment, could you hold that right up close to your camera there, Krista, so we can get a good clear look at the cover, and then thank you. Okay, so now here's blogger to blogger question, and again, I'm trying to click it up on the screen. So Dave is asking, your blogs are so detailed, how long does it take you to put each together? The question from Dave.
Well, Dave, I usually spend, the Sunday after Svengoolie Saturday big broadcast, Sunday into the Wednesday evening time frame is when I get all research and information compiled and information and graphics compiled into my blog. That's how long it takes me to do a Silver Screen Reflections blog. Come on, Chris, says Dr. Svengoolie. If it's on the internet, it must be true. I love that. Love that, Svengoolie.
And again, as Nanette is just saying, and I wish I could get the screen to keep pace, that the your knowledge base is just, I don't know, unrivaled, but let me say nobody's going to out-knowledge you on these subjects and these topics. So a top contender. Wow, it shows that you put in the hours.
I love doing it for my fellow super Sven pals, fellow super tuners that I've met from coast to coast on the virtual airlines here, and I highly appreciate that. Nanette, Sarah, and Dave, and Drew, and Michaela, and Warner, and Junkyard, and Fanboy.
I should say also that Fanboy and Sarah and Drew have all dropped in Dave with an exclamation point. So, of course, Dave should get a warm reception in the comment section. So now Sarah's saying he begins doing his own research on Svengoolie Sunday and let it be known that, yes, Sundays, whether they're acknowledged as Svengoolie or Sunday or not,
right.
they are absolutely Sundays.
We Sven pals. We super Sven pals, super tuners love Dr. Svengoolie's Svengoolie Sundays. And speaking about her wonderful Svengoolie Sunday posts on Live Tweeting Airlines, she's going to unveil a new Svengoolie art creation masterpiece this upcoming Sunday for the Svengoolie Sunday post. So fellow super, so I'm going to speak on behalf of Dr. Svengoolie. Be on the lookout for Svengoolie's newest Svengoolie art creation masterpiece.
Man, forget somebody putting first in the comment section. That's a stop the presses. That's a news flash right there. That's wow. Aim Chris Hamby in any direction, and he's got some material and some knowledge. It's a beautiful thing. Oh my gosh. And Dave says thanks for all the shout outs.
Dave.
So, because I'm getting the idea that your blog is your main form of expression here. Others, right? So Sarah's got some art on the skateboards. Sarah's got some not cosplay but lifestyle in replicating the Sven visage. In addition to the blog, do you have other ways that you go about? And you have your coffee mug, so you have your collectibles, you have your blog. Are there other ways that you're digging into the Sven community that we haven't covered?
Well, but besides my blog and on Live Tweeting Airlines, say if some of my fellow super Sven pal super tuners may not have a way to, that is, if my cable airlines, cable internet airlines are working, I usually, if there's like a bit, I like the viewer, not the viewer, but the viewer photos and viewer art bit on Sven's shows, and if it's on there, I usually put that on there and mention part of that in my for my cameo shout outs of fellow super Sven pals and super tuners. So my YouTube channel has some Sven and tuning and some Sven Toonie material on there.
And you were without,
for example. Okay, continue, Chris.
No, I was saying, without question, you were a major supporter of the rest of the Sven pals here. So you bring it full on to contribute, to participate, and to further the community.
Thank you, Chris. I'm very flattered by everyone's wonderful salutations and greetings and comments on here tonight. The Sven pals, the community of wonderful fellow Super Sven pals, Super Tuners, are a wonderful bunch.
All right, so Michaela's new comment is saying, I learn a lot of new information about the films that Sven shows every week because of the blog. So there you go, practical
I'm glad to
application.
hear that, Michaela.
And again, there's
Thank
no
you.
question that Michaela is deep in the Sven community in the best of ways. All right, I'm just throwing this as we have so many generous comments. If people have other questions for guest of honor Chris Hamby, please continue to pepper them into the comment section, and I'll get them addressed as best as I can, given that we're on the secondary equipment here. Chris, let me pitch to you this question: has there been anything unexpected to you in your time being a Sven fan? So you wanted to express that you liked, appreciated, felt good about connecting to the movies and to Sven himself, to the character that's portrayed by Rich Coast. Has there been a surprise or unexpected moment or event for you along the way?
It's a very interesting question, Chris, and I have to say this was shortly after I graduated from Hood College back in 2017. Let me read what Dr. Svengoolie has to say. Chris is our ultra knowledgeable cheerleader. Rock 'em, sock 'em. Go, Chris. Thank you, Svengoolie. It's wonderful. I love that. Right back at you, pal. And back to my answer to what you said, Chris. This was after I graduated from Hood College in 2017, and this was when Sven was showing one of the Universal Inner Sanctum mystery films with Lon Chaney Jr., Calling Dr. Death. I was watching the mail call segment with Sven and Kerwin, and I hear Sven / Rich Coast say, "Meanwhile, Christopher Hamby from Walkersville, Maryland," and I'm thinking, what? Wait, he mentioned my name because I had submitted my Sven photo wearing my official Svengoolie tee outside of the Hood College sign because I was immediately thinking of that old phrase that Sven said a while back in the old Svengoolie store ads, "Looking goody in a hoodie," and that's and I was quite delighted that photo showed up. And the unusual part, well, my recorder malfunctioned on that same evening, but lucky enough, one of the fellow Super Sven pals / Super Tuners, well, this was before tuning, Super Sven pals, Fritz Freakenstein, or Doc Freak as he likes to call himself on Twitter, was kind enough to supply me with a recording of my Sven Fogo cameo appearance from Calling Dr. Death. And from that point on, and I to elaborate on the previous question, previous answer, that's how I add short video clips or moments in relation to fellow Super Sven pal Super Tuners who are mentioned on Sven and previously on Tuning, since Tuning used to have a mail call segment, but they've kind of drifted away from that in more recent shows.
So let me take this.
Shows.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm finished for this question, Chris.
All right. Then, as we're speaking of the tune in the morning show, and as we're speaking of the night show, Sarah saying looking goody at Hoodie College and no personal checks. We're speaking on the tune in the morning show. We're speaking on the primetime shows, Sven. So there is Sven Tooney is a bridge between the AM and the PM, and there's another character who's kind of a bridge for that. Chris, I didn't give you this question in advance, but here we go off the shoot here. Your thoughts on Nostalgia for Ratu?
Ooh, that's a good one. But I like Bill. I mean, of course, I like the characterization of Nostalgia for Ratu, aka secretly portrayed by Bill Leff of Tuning fame. It kind of just because his regular old self is into nostalgia and everything thing is just a delight. Even his little jokes and puns to Sven, and even he debuted that character on and feel free to and fellow super Sven pal super tuners, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. I think he may have done that on TuneIn before he came on the secret guest spots on Sven's shows. So I enjoy Nostalgia for Atu's fun facts and puns and everything with Sven and his appearances on TuneIn when.
I think Nostalgia for Atu is an amazing character and in perfect timing with the slow drag on the screen coming up. Dave says, not seeing Chris, Nanette, and Sarah's Saturday night tweets has been hard since leaving social media in May. But hey, but a man's got to do, or a social media adjuster has got to do what they got to do. And hey, again, there's other ways to connect to the community. And so this is what's making for me, this show right here, right now, a heck of a lot of fun. Yes. All right, so Chris, let me ask you, either through your viewing, and again, I can devote some more time to reading your blog. Do you have a couple favorite classic Universal movies or characters?
Ooh, that's a good one. And to say to our fellow Super Sven pal, Super Tuner Dave, we miss you on the social media airlines too, Dave. But we're lucky that we keep in touch with our blogs and everything. So and speaking of favorite Universal monster movies, I would have to say, I mean, in no particular order, I love all of them, even the sequels. But some of my top ones would be Dracula with Bela Lugosi, Frankenstein with Boris Karloff, Bride of Frankenstein with Elsa Lanchester and Boris Karloff, The Mummy with Karloff, Creature from the Black Lagoon with Riku Browning, Ben Chapman, and Julie Adams, and The Wolfman with Lon Chaney Jr. And if you love comedy, and this is a favorite of many fellow Super Sven pals, Super Tuners, myself included, and classic monsters and classic comedies, and one that will be shown on October 14th, as I understand, as part of Sven's twin set, Abbott from the Hamby Film Vault. I'm trying to get the Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, one of my all-time many favorites.
Arguably the greatest horror comedy of all time. Michaela is saying she's made a lot of great friends because of the live tweeting sessions of Sven and the daily live tweetings of the Tune In with Chris and all the other tuners. Hey, as Johnny B used to say, we're just having fun. And as Fanboy G and I will say from time to time as we continue on down our figurative yellow brick road, it's great to meet other characters on our way to the Wizard. And again, I'm doing the wrong color, but there he is.
And to see Sarah Werewolves of Maryland. I love that Svengoolie, Dr. Svengoolie.
How can you not?
And now I think of Warden's Eve on
we asked about the classics
of London.
For the more contemporary stuff, or maybe the B films, for the more contemporary, for the non-classic movies, does anything catch your eye more than the others, or do you have a more recent or a B movie that you favor?
I'm kind of stumped right now, Chris. So let's see, a more recent horror film or more.
Well, you did have the Killer Clowns in your hand a minute ago,
right? Killer Clowns would be that would be one of my top. I mean, I still it's a favorite of mine and one of my all time favorites. I would have to say, I would have to say Killer Clowns actually, and in terms of B budget movies, that would be.
All right. Future question here, as we said, ideally in the future, we'll find a way for you to be at a Sven event live. Do you have future plans for the blog, or how far in advance do you try to factor in what will be your subject matter for your blog?
I think I'll still continue the traditional formula of my weekly Sven film blog posts.
All right. And so then do you get the Meet TV emails like with the monthly calendar? Like how strategic or structured are you as you're
I
plotting out your schedule in advance?
I subscribe to Sven's official email newsletter via Meet TV, and that's how I know about his film schedule. So
Excellent. Sarah's latest comment:
Killer
Killer
Clowns from the
Clowns
Mickey
and
D's. He stinger disagrees with you.
I'm gonna take your word for it, Doctor Goolie Rhodes. And again, if you've said it on the internet, it's clearly, without question, true.
Amen.
Um,
Amen, Dr. Svengoolie.
all right, Chris, do you have anything else that free form here? Anything that we haven't addressed yet that you would like to comment on or have known about your expression of your fan ways with Sven and about your blog?
Well, when I was taking one other Hood College story, I'll tell you all about in relation to Sven. I even mentioned Svengoolie to my cinema studies instructor, who was also my advisor, and I said, I remember she said, but Chris, those Universal monster movies are kind of, and somehow I don't know why that was not her cup of tea, but I thought, but Sven, even if they're the most definitive ones, or even not the most definitive movies, Sven makes it all fun and good for everyone, and the next week, she was so excited. She even said, "I love the Svengoolie show with the old Universal monster films." So I must have touched. I must have, well, not touched, but I must have. Oh God, I must have encouraged someone to watch in this area to watch Sven. And speaking about Super Sven pals, and here's something fitting. This is the easiest painting I could get. Here's something from our pal Dr. Svengoolie, the Marina City. I'm never drawing Marina City again. Hang
Oh,
drawing.
can you
That's
just
what it's
raise it
called.
up just a little bit north there and then hold it just a little closer to your microphone, Chris? And so we got classic OG Jerry G. Bishop, Sven, Marina City, and then a Dark Knight inspired leap with the chicken in hand and the lightning bolt.
Right.
That is a masterpiece.
It is. Yeah, that is. And Sarah and Nanette and all the fellows, wonderful Super Sven pals and Super Tuners, they have a lot of wonderful art, I must say. They're really talented, and I enjoy every one of their wonderful art masterpieces. And I highly appreciate what you all have done, Dr. Svengoolie and Dr. Nanette. And speaking of Nanette, and speaking of tonight's Classic Svengoolie Festival, this old, well, not old, but this pop-up ornament that Nanette I got as a neat little surprise over the holidays from Nanette. What's that? The other neat
And
little
that would
surprise
be
from Blobby Blob. You can see the censor tape on Blobby Blob's mouth.
man, the creative community here, the cumulative, the Svenicity here, it can bounce in any direction, leave no stone unturned. That is some top notch stuff to come up with a 3D blobby character. I want to come to Dave's question and pitch it to Chris first, and then people please do respond to Dave's question in the comments. Question for the group says Dave, are you all staying up and tweeting the duration of Svengoolie's October double features? So I would speculate also for the back half, for the late show, the second of the double features, are people planning on being awake and tweeting? Chris, what's your response to Dave's question?
I'm really excited about Sven's first coast to coast double feature showcase, Chris, and all fellow Super Sven pals and Super Tuners, and I'm hoping I can stay up even for some of the Svengoolie Sventoonie broadcasts that I miss, because because hopefully the cable and internet will be working tonight, and I hope I can catch a good chunk of the entire showcase.
Excellent. And then I'll read off back to Sarah's art piece there. She said the corns are hard to draw. The corns referring to the corn cob looking Marina City towers, right near the secret yet not so secret location of Svengoolie. Nanette says, yes, there's amazing artwork. And Drew is saying Nanette is the pop-up queen. Nanette says, hoping to stay up late for both shows. Sarah's like, oh, blobby blob from the pop. Michaela says she's hoping to stay up late and live tweet for tonight. Both you and blobby blob are her heroes. So Michaela has officially declared blobby blob and Chris Hamby as heroes. Fanboy, bringing us the left coast perspective, is saying, unfortunately, I can't join the tweet chat because of the time difference. And not to contradict Dr. Rhodes' proclamation that Central Time is the only time zone, but that we'll have to figure out how to bridge those two points between discrepancy. But Fanboy G is definitely back to the future, around the corner of the past. And then Michaela, wants to stay up. Okay. So, and she will catch up tomorrow just in case sleep wins the battle with her. It's a beautiful thing. Chris, this has been a lot of fun. I'm glad you were persistent and then I was like, well, how do I, get in contact? Because I don't really do the social media circuit. And so then once if he's got a blog, he's got contact information. So I was not the quickest draw, the quick, I could have processed that information a little more quickly, but it was a slow burn for me to figure that out, but I'm glad I did. I'm glad you agreed to come on. I'm glad you've been in the comment section here. And, now I've got a longer list of thank yous tonight. So again, I think I'd have to scroll back up, so I won't necessarily get in order of appearance. But Michaela, thanks for viewing tonight. Fanboy G, thanks for being around. Nanette, Drew, Sarah, Junkyard, thanks everybody for commenting and contributing to the conversation tonight. Nanette is saying, I truly hope the airlanes remain clear. Your cable company needs to get the act together. Sarah saying, wild.
They certainly do, Nanette.
Wild out. All right. Sarah saying third on your ISP and seconded on your ISP. Right. Drew, thanks for the kind words there. Again, any danged old internets indeed. Chris, any parting thoughts or any comments?
I don't have anything else to say at the present, but thank you, Chris, for inviting me to your wonderful, wonderful Svenology show. And all the best to you and Fanboy C and Dr. Svengoolie, Dr. Nanette, Dr. Drew Love, Dr. Dave Fuentes, Dr. Michaela, Dr. Junkyard, Dr. Wunger, and Dr. Jamie Lee, should we say, who's currently appearing in in a zombie apocalypse play. Somehow the name just escaped out of me at the present moment, but that's one of her plays with a figure group, the PMNL figure of Antioch, Illinois. Boy, so I'd like to give a shout out to
man. Again, your knowledge base is far and wide. I'll say, as far as forgetting stuff, one time between Fanboy G and me, I couldn't remember the word for cufflinks, so that's not a high degree of difficulty on that. In my final comments, I'll say here, right there, Silver Screen Reflections is the blog. Please do check out Chris's blog, and great to be all of us here building and contributing to a Sven-based community. Again, thanks for everybody for the comments. The comments are still flicking in, but we're going to go ahead and click out to end out. Thanks so much. And here we go, closing out for tonight. We'll see you again real soon with some other stuff. And as the screen is slow again, this might be a longer exit process than a typical show. So good night, everybody. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Oh, this was wonderful. Oh, boy.